I'm Rob Kircher, and welcome to our 1905 Cottage Restoration. This is an ongoing series of episodes with my wife Barbara and I restoring this once diamond in the rough behind me. Now, we've made lots of improvement, folks, over the last year, but there are still many more challenges yet to be overcome. There are plumbing problems, electrical problems, insulation problems, and a myriad of other problems still hidden within her walls. And trust me, folks, they are there. Now, call me crazy, and we probably are, but we believe that we can transform this into an absolute showstopper. So stay with us as we spend time, money, and effort in transforming this old cottage into an amazing restoration. Coming up in this episode, we'll be restoring a great amount of our second floor cottage. And folks, wow, did it ever need a lot of work. Now that's coming up right now. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. It's most appreciated. Thank you so much. As mentioned, the upstairs needed a tremendous amount of work. So I'm going to actually break this up into a series of segments, starting with segment number 1, which is I'll be showing you what we've done to the stairwell leading up to the second floor. And that includes a step going into the stairwell. So lots of stuff coming up, and I think you're going to find it quite interesting. So stay with us, and let's get into segment number 1. The second last thing that has to be done is dealing with this really old step that leads into the landing, which is at the base of our stairwell that goes upstairs. Now, here's the thing. I was going to try to sand this thing down so we could stain it the same color as this wonderful old cupboard over here. But that is not in the cards because whoever put this together, they used Bondo. And if you're not familiar with Bondo, it's like the toughest adhesive known to man. And so I'm going to take that top step off and hopefully not have to disturb the actual riser part of it. But we'll see what happens. But then, and then replace that with a new step that will be resembling, again, this piece over here. So that's the next step that has to be done, no pun intended. But it's going to be, as usual, an adventure, because everything with this old cottage is an adventure. Trust me. Eric is removing the top part of that step.
Part of it.
Part of it anyways. And we're going to replace it with a new piece of red oak. And then we're going to, as I mentioned a number of times, we're going to tile both of the risers. Well, I was hoping for a treasure to be down here, but what we actually found was the remnants of a decomposed rat, like R-A-T, rat. Well, there's a hidden treasure under there, if you want to call it that. Just a lot of debris, and again, a decomposed rat. Step on. This is the next step, no pun intended, but Barbara did a lot of work on this while I was recuperating from another surgery, but she used not stain, but a gel stain for this top tread, and it just came out perfectly, matching the woodwork over there. And then she put 3 coats of really strong polyurethane. Now the next thing that we're doing is taking and putting tile around the risers. So we have tile here obviously, and we're going to put the tile there. And this is the same tile that matches the surround on our fireplace. So it's going to look very, very cool. So I just cut this piece. This is the last one for this section. So I'm going to put this in place, and hopefully it fits, which it does. And then I'm going to wipe it off with a little sponge. Now we're not putting any grout in between it, so it's just butted all the way around. Okay, so now we have the adhesive on the second riser, and what we did down here, if you can see this, we carefully laid out sort of like starburst, if you will. So we got our designs going in the right direction, and it can be a little confusing, but you always want to start with the bottom row, which is what I'm doing right now, and have a little bit of extra overhang on this side. Okay, when I put the top piece on previously, I realized that I was a little short, so I had to go back to my wet saw and take about 1/8 of an inch off. So let's see how I did. Aha! Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to go right along the line here, because I cut them all exactly the same way. And then you go back over and you actually give it a little bit of a polish, and so on. So I'm going to continue that top course, and then I cut the two end pieces, and then the return, and then we're done. Now this is the lath that's still on the back wall of our stairway. You can see the light switch right there, and then it goes up to the ceiling. Now that right there is our doorbell ringer. It's battery operated, so there's only one screw left that's got to be taken out, and then we'll chip the rest of that plaster away. And then later this morning, our electrician's coming out. You see that cable right there? And that comes down to this light switch. I want him to relocate that to the other side of this bifold. So right now it's very cumbersome to actually use, because you got to open the bifold to do that. Well, what you're looking at right here is a color sample that Babs put on a wall. Believe it or not, it's the same color as our mantle, but here it looks extremely dark because there's not enough light on it. But in any event, that's not the color she's going to use, so she's just kind of playing around with things right now. Now on this wall, all the lath and plaster have been taken out, and this will all be replaced with beadboard. And this, by the way, is the other side of our living room wall, and that's the original lath and plaster. And they don't make walls like that anymore today, folks. I wish they did. It's labor intensive and material intensive, so this uses plasterboard, or what's known as sheetrock. But that's the real McCoy right there. Okay, and Eric has got the beadboard up on the side here, and it goes over the bifold, and now he's working on that back wall and putting some braces in there so he can put the new beadboard up. What do you think, Babs?
I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah. So this wall is now insulated, and as I mentioned, Eric is putting up some boards to stiffen up that part of it to put the beadboard on it. There's the wall. Going to be nice. Well, Eric's got that wall completed now. Now we decided to keep this bifold door, and we're going to see if we could actually transform it, and we were able to do this. This used to have glass right here on both of these panels, and we put 2 coats of primer on it, not knowing if it was going to hold or not, and by goodness it does hold. And we did the same thing on the other side, so now we don't have to buy a new bifold door, and it works perfectly fine. This is again that piece of poplar that he's going to nail on top of the staircase, and then on top of that is going to go some very, very nice molding. Okay, so swinging the camera around and looking down the staircase, that wall that is directly in front of you, that'll be painted the same color as the grayish green that I was showing you earlier. So here's a close-up of that sample. The beadboard to the right will be white, and right now that just has some primer on it, but we actually like the color of the primer because it's kind of an ultra white. And then this wall would be that same grayish green color. Well, Eric has got the wainscoting on this side of the banister, and it looks fantastic. And had some old wood in my workshop that was left over from ripping out the pantry, and he was able to make that cap from that and that board coming down along the side. Now this little section is a dramatic change. This used to be plexiglass right there. So Eric is chipping away more of the plaster from the last and working our way up the stairs, where we now have the vertical beadboards. So we use construction glue and we put the beadboard on both sides, and it holds extremely well. But this will give you an idea going all the way up to the top of the ceiling, which again is going to be covered with joint compound to get rid of those ugly starbursts. And this wall over here again will be that greenish gray color. We just did a lot of trim work today, and Mom painted the bottom of this with the first coat. I primed it, and we still have a lot more to go up the ceiling here. The new handrails are in. It took us a while to put those up, trust me. Well, I'm teetering precariously one more time here, but this is the last of it. We're putting the second coat of white over primer on this part of the beadboard, and then simultaneously I'm over on this side also putting in the green. So it's a 2-bucket process, and I gotta tell you, my legs are killing me, and it's a little nerve-wracking. Well, I hope you enjoyed episode 22. Now, coming up in episode 23, we're going to be upstairs in the hallway, and we're going to be making all kinds of improvements, from painting, putting new trim up, and a series of other things which I think are going to be pretty impactful when you walk up there and you take a look at it. So I hope you stay with us. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. Folks, as always, it is most appreciated. Thank you so much.